my name's Kaz and I've got Parkinson's. Oh, it's yesterday wasn't a very good day, and today's been a 50-50 day. Do you know what I mean? It's not been good and it's not been bad, but yesterday I was very low, and it's the thing I want to talk about today. You depression. It's very difficult. Parkinson's, when you're on a normal okay level, you feel on top of the world, like you could conquer the world, and that maybe everything's okay, nothing's wrong. But when you have a really bad day, it all comes crashing down, and you feel so overwhelmed, and your anxiety kicks in, and your depression, your mood sinks, and because dopamine along with serotonin, and it's all feel good hormones, and when you haven't got enough of those, it's very hard. It's a bit like going through a tunnel. You just don't see that light at the end of it sometimes, and but when you're okay and you're on a good level, you can plan and you can do things, and you've got so many things you want to do, and you're not back to normal 100%, but you feel good. But like the last couple of days, well, the last month, it's really took its toll on me. Do you know what I mean? This disease is horrible anyway, but I made a few notes. That's why I've got my glasses on, because I'm blind as a bat without them. But exercise is good for lifting your mood. But the thing is, if you can only exercise if you're on a good level. So it's all right them saying it'll help lift your mood, go for a long walk. But if your tablets aren't working, or your medicine's not working, or you're not on a good level, then you can't put 2 feet in front of the other, So you have to try and find other ways to. I mean, I watch these silly movies, the really cheap budget ones, but while I'm watching that film, my mind's not thinking about how I'm feeling. It's thinking about that silly film, or or put music on or something. But but the other thing is having a good support system around you. I've got some good people in my life. The only good thing to come out of Parkinson's is I've met some really nice friends, Darlene and Claudine. They're really lovely. And obviously I've met my OT, Beverly, and Maud, and Nicola, my physio, and Catherine, my psychologist, and Lisa. I've met so many lovely people on this journey. But it's still, you can feel very lonely, and isolated some days, especially when your medicine's not working properly. So I wrote a little bit here, little few things. With medication, yeah, that does help, but not all the time, because you get your ups and your downs, but different therapies and things to work, like relaxation therapies, and I have more to come to do my muscles to help loosen my neck off. It's good, but they're short quick fixes. They probably only last an hour or not have you, and then you're back to suffering again. But it just helps to have people, around you. I mean, just getting out of the house for 5 minutes helps. But then I wrote a list here of things that have changed. Well, everything's changed. But to say the only good thing about Parkinson's is the people I've met on this journey. I've got a big list here, of you lose your independence. Well, I've just turned 50. I mean, okay, that's not young, but it's not old either. And to suddenly go from, being a strong, independent lady, being able to do it, take the world on, to not even be able to leave the house on her own, it's very hard to swallow. And that plays, a lot with your mental health. And because, my daughter said to me the other day, my oldest one, she said, "You feel alright today, Mum?" I said, "To tell you the truth, I feel lost. When I look in the mirror, I don't see me, I feel lost. I feel I've woken up in this strange world, and I just so want to close my eyes and open up and be back to where I was. But I suppose lots of us feel like that. But I did feel pretty low, you have weight loss. I mean, some people put on weight. I lost loads of weight, so, to me, I just get too tired and I can't be bothered, But before I was on the medication, I just lost weight anyway. I don't know why. Simple tasks, become near enough impossible. Like I've said before, I know it sounds funny, but if I can pull my pants up, I'm having a good blooming day. And I know that sounds funny, but if I ever got to a point where I couldn't, then, I don't know what I'd do because, definitely loss of independence, loneliness, simple tasks, mental health, and weight loss are big parts in my life. It's like I can't drive very far anymore, so that's been taken away from me really. I'm back on a medical licence, which I have to prove myself every 3 months, so I'm still waiting to get that one back. So, but you can't plan anything because you can't guarantee how long things are going to last for. I mean, hopefully once to turn this machine up a bit and I'm okay most of the day, I might be able to do a bit more. But like yesterday was a dreadful day. Today's been 50-50. Tomorrow might be great, but as I say, you can't plan to do anything. I mean, the only good thing about today is I actually walked around Asda supermarket upright. I wasn't sat in my chair today. And the people in Costa's are lovely because yet again they bought me a cake. just because they're happy to see me doing better than I was. So it was very kind. So they bought my husband a coffee and got me a cake. So that was really nice. Bless them, they're lovely. Yeah, because like I said, the medication's unpredictable, so you can't really plan anything. My writing, like I mentioned before, I mean, it's absolutely, it's really, really, it's like worse than a 5-year-old's, I can only just about decipher it, so that's upset me because I used to have really neat handwriting, but I think that's it. But the other thing that I look at is like if I know I'm switching off, this hand here starts to shake quite terrible. That's the first warning sign. So I stop what I'm doing, I go sit down, and then I wait for it to come back on again. But what I've learned to do now is if I want to go to the toilet, that I put on comfy trousers and things, so you can pull it up easier because I'm not shouting for help. It doesn't matter if I spend all day in that toilet, I will not shout for help. My husband's smiling at me, but I won't. So, but yeah, comfy trousers, something easy to pull up. But, right, I think that's everything.
She's very stubborn and she will not ask for help.
He knows me so well. Right. Yeah, so I think I've covered everything. And diet, I mean, they say eat a really good diet. Yeah, well, that's ridiculous because the thing is, if you've got Parkinson's, half the time when you switch off, you can't keep still to blooming eat. And the other thing is, you can't swallow things. So they gave me some really big antibiotics to swallow. Well, that's just silly because I only choked 3 times, and they get stuck in your windpipe. My husband has to smack me on the back to get it out. So in the end, I went back and got some liquid. I mean, I'm nearly at the end of it now, and really stomach's still sore and it's weeping, so I'll probably end up having to go back. But anyway, I won't moan for too long. I am in quite a good mood. I just thought I'd get it all out and make myself feel better. So, right, I love you all lots and thank you for watching. Okay, bye for now.